Hello, I'm Jeanine Davis, Extension Specialist in the Department of Horticultural Science at NC State. And today we're at Clem's Organic Gardens in Pisgah Forest, North Carolina. That's in western North Carolina. We're south of Asheville. And I'd like to introduce you to our farmer, Clem.
Thank you.
Clem, could you tell us a little bit about your farm?
This is my second year of production here on this land that I lease. This year I have about 4 acres in production in cash crops. The property is about 10 acres, and I am certified organic, and I grow only for wholesale markets, and everything is a storage crop. So carrots, beets, parsnips, potatoes, and winter squash.
That's a very interesting business model. So no retail sales at all?
I do not retail sale at all.
So we don't see you Saturday morning at the farmer's market.
That's right. I can take my weekends off if I choose to.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And this is turning out to be successful for you. You want to continue in this vein? You think this is working?
Yeah, I mean, so far, again, this is my second year of production. So last year was, a big test. I mean, I did come in with a pretty good idea of what I wanted to do, and I had tried a lot of it at a previous farm that I managed. I did not, that was not my business. And so it's promising enough that I've pretty much planning to double production this year.
Wonderful.
So yeah, it definitely seems like there's opportunities.
Very good. So you are certified organic. Could you explain to our agents why you're certified organic?
Yeah, so I'm certified organic. My biggest buyer pretty much requires it, although even there's some wiggle room. I could actually sell transitional produce to them. But overall, in the wholesale market, you definitely get some advantages with being certified organic. Although even on a smaller scale, you can get away with not being certified. The other part of it, I just don't think it's that hard to be certified organic. If you're following the practices and are familiar with how to keep the records, I think it's not that big a deal. I've found certifiers to be good to work with. And the cost, for a small farm like this, there's been a cost share program that has helped a lot, that covers most of the cost of it.
Okay, that makes sense. And how about the FISMA and GAPS regulations and such? How does that affect you selling into the wholesale market?
So the markets that I sell into are not the biggest markets. I am GAP certified, and I think I could squeeze by with just having a food safety plan that my buyers were okay with. But again, I don't find it to be that difficult to get by with the GAP stuff. And I don't worry about FISMA too much because I'm GAP certified, and figure that I'm at least close enough to the right track to be ready for FISMA.
Okay. So that leads me into an extension question. So this is training for our new horticulture agents. Do you work with your extension agent?
I do work with my extension agent. My extension agent is very friendly, and he likes to come out to the farm. I guess I approach it not so much as I want answers from my extension agent. If I have questions, more let's figure some things out together, I guess, because he doesn't necessarily know that much about organic vegetable production, but he has access to resources that I might not know about. He helped me last year identify some disease in my squash. We sent a sample to the lab and all that. I would have been less sure of what to do without him in that case.
So as we're training new extension agents, is there anything that you could think of that we should share with them that would be helpful to working with an organic farmer?
The most useful advice I would say is get to know your organic farmers. See what they're doing. Don't just touch base when there's a problem. In general, I find that most problems in organic, by the time you notice the problem, it's too late to do anything about it. So prevention is the best cure. And the other thing I would say is be open about and provide what resources are out there, even if it's not through, maybe it's not through North Carolina. Like one of my best resources I found online was a Cornell publication. And just, a catalog of the resources that are out there. Because there are a lot of resources out there, but it's not necessarily easy to find them.
So having your agent know how to get all that for you would be helpful.
Yeah, for the agent to know what the best sources are. Okay. Whether it's NC State or whether it's Cornell or UC Davis or something else, some other farm with their website.
So this is a new business for you. Have you taken advantage of some of the business planning and farm enterprise budgets, and are you analyzing that? I mean, do you know if you're profitable or how many years it's going to take you to reach that?
I don't have a clear idea of that yet. I mean, I do track my costs pretty carefully, specifically to the crops that I'm growing. So I am collecting data. I would say at this point I don't have enough data to say, but the initial results are promising. So yeah, right now I'm focusing on my production methods, getting the product grown and sold, and if I do a good job of that according to my spreadsheets, I should do all right.
All right, sounds good. So I see that you're using black plastic mulch. It looks like you've got drip irrigation going here. What are some of the things you think are key to making this farm work here? Maybe some practices you brought from the other farm that you worked on.
Gosh, a lot of practices. So weed control is huge in organic. So the black plastic I am using this year, black plastic alone is not necessarily enough, I think. So I'm trying spreading wood chips in between the aisles of the plastic to cover that area. That's always a challenge. I also developed some tractor implements to control the weeds in between the aisles of plastic. But most of my crops are bare ground direct seeded. So I have a number of key components to that. I do sort of a pre-weeding. I use big black tarps. I cover the fields prior to seeding for 2 to 3 weeks. And what that does is it holds in moisture, it warms up the soil a little bit, it encourages weeds to grow or to germinate. And then when they can't get any light, they die. I have implemented a good bit of cover cropping, rotating fields out of production, out of cash crop production, into cover crops. I direct seed, so with especially carrots and parsnips, plants that take a long time to germinate, I use a flame weeder, which is basically you seed the crop, the carrot or parsnip. It takes several days to germinate. In the meantime, a number of weed seedlings will come up, and I just have a backpack flame torch, and I just go over the planting row with that, and that zaps and kills the little seedlings, the little weed seedlings, prior to the crop coming up. And that's very important for those crops.
Very satisfying too, isn't it?
It is, yeah, because you can kind of like watch little baby plants die. And otherwise, I do have some tractor cultivation implements, not a whole lot. I don't have an actual cultivating tractor. I have some front-mounted stuff and some rear-mounted stuff that control weeds in between the rows. And then there's always hand weeding, which we do have to do a bit of that. But my other efforts basically try to minimize the amount of hand weeding on the farm, because that's one of the biggest labor drains here.
And can you tell us a little bit about your labor on a farm this size? Where do you find your labor?
Yes.
How much do you need?
That's a question I am figuring out as I go. So basically, I've had some luck with hiring part-time local people. I need generally 3 or 4 people working part-time through most of the season, between the weeding, and then we get into harvesting and the washing and packing. The washing and packing is a pretty big part of it. And so they would work maybe 3 days a week each. And I've had decent luck by just advertising locally, and also just people referred by word of mouth.
Okay. Anything else you want to share at this point that you think would be important to these beginning horticulture agents?
Not that I can think of right now.
Well, thank you very much.